Grace, and today's video is the one that I am so super stoked to share with you guys for multiple reasons. Today I was laying in bed, I was actually half falling asleep to a creepy paranormal, I think it's like ghosts and monsters show, something along those lines. And in my half dream, half like awake state, I started to hear one of the episodes. And what they were talking about was actually what I thought was an urban legend or a scary story all along. But turns out it's actually a very real thing. So I got super inspired, I watched the episode, I did some research, and I decided that I would come on here and share this with you guys because Lydia the Phantom Hitchhiker is sure to give you guys some goosebumps. So I'm sure we've all heard the following scary story, okay? Two guys are driving down the road on a rainy night and they see a female hitchhiker. When the female hitchhiker gets into their car, she tells them where she lives and that she just needs a ride home. When they arrive at the house, they look in the back seat and the hitchhiker is nowhere in sight. So they go to the door, they knock on the door, a mother answers, and then proceeds to tell them that it would have been impossible for them to have picked up her daughter, seeing as her daughter was killed in a car crash right near where they picked her up years before. If you're like me, you've heard this scary story and you probably thought, it's just a scary story. But turns out in North Carolina, this is actually a true thing. And it all starts back with a girl named Lydia. So located off of US 70 is an underpass bridge now called Lydia's Bridge. It's located between Jamestown and Greensboro, North Carolina. And here's where the story starts to get a little bit freaky. So since 1923, people claim to have encountered while driving a woman hitchhiker in a white gown. She's always hitchhiking. She always says that she needs a ride home from this dance. And when they ask her about herself, she'll respond that her name is Lydia. However, she seems to be like in her own world. So conversating along the ride isn't really something that happens far too often. Now they say that if you pass by Lydia's bridge while it's raining, you will not only be met by Lydia, but you will be met by the extremely injured, terrified, sad, and desperate Lydia. And that's where it begins with our true story. Lydia had been driving home with her friend from a dance wearing her nice white gown on a rainy night when they lost control of the vehicle, hit a tree, and she died. Now, I've told you guys before that when a spirit dies in a traumatic way, such as murder, suicide, car crashes, instant death, some of the time they don't even realize that they've passed. They're confused in the process, and they are therefore stuck. That's what seemed to have happened with the spirit of Lydia, because on rainy nights, she relives those exact moments, except she doesn't understand that she's dead, and she needs a ride home. So two types of people have seen Lydia. People who have seen Lydia throughout the daytime or on a regular night, and they say that they've seen her. She looks exactly like a normal human being. They let her into the car, they take her home, and then they realize that she's either disappeared or by the time they get to the door, she's no longer near them, and her mother answers and says that Lydia has passed away, that she clearly has not been able to move on, and that they were not the first and would not be the last that had shown up to tell her this. The other types of people are the ones, like I said, who encounter Lydia on a rainy night, and sometimes they're frightened to even let her within the vehicle because she's all cut and just, it's like the aftermath of the car crash. She's reliving it and she is like asking for help from people while in that physical state. Now, a lot of conspiracy theorists actually believe this to be 100% the truth, because for no reason at all of a sudden, the city decided to relocate the road, build a new underpass, and leave that one abandoned out off to the side where people wouldn't go. Now, cities don't normally just up and move roads for absolutely no reason at all. Typically, when they move a road, it's for a good reason. So people were led to believe that the main reason that they moved the road was so that people wouldn't continue to see this phantom hitchhiker. People also believe that in 2008, the city actually had people go there to try to pass Lydia on, and some believe that she's actually been crossed over as of right now, but I mean, it's kind of up in the air as to whether or not that really happened. That's just like speculation. Now, in the documentary that I was watching on this particular situation, a man said that he dedicated a couple years of his life to really dig in to see if Lydia actually existed, if this was just a made-up story or if it was actually the truth, urban legend or the truth. And he claims that upon digging into the records of the cities, that the only Lydia that died in that time frame was an old lady, and she hadn't in fact died in a car crash. However, a young woman fitting nearly the identical description as Lydia by the name of Maria had died in that exact area of a car crash. So people are kind of up in the air as to whether or not it's actually Lydia or it's Maria that are haunting the bridge, but regardless, it has been named Lydia's Bridge, and people claim up until today to see the phantom hitchhiker. Nowadays, because they actually moved the entire street, people commonly mistaken this bridge right here as Lydia's Bridge, when in fact Lydia's Bridge is actually this bridge right here. So if you were to ever travel to this area and to see it, make sure that you actually head to the proper bridge. Now, I personally think it's actually really quite a sad story regardless. I mean, as scary as it could be, and the fact that so many people have seen it, yes, that adds terror to it, but it's also quite a tragic and sad tale of a spirit that can't find its way back home and is eternally trapped in the spot of her death. Every single time somebody tries to take Lydia home, she disappears before she actually makes it to the house. And I think that that's also extremely sad because it kind of shows the ties between her spirit and her death location. It's not like somebody took this spirit from one place to the other and she now lives happily within her home. It's like she can get there, but she always winds up back at the bridge, back where the accident happened. Now, I've heard two totally opposing situations that people have encountered. One young gentleman was riding in the car with his friend on a stormy night when they passed by, and the driver saw a young woman in a white dress crouched down on the side of the road. So he turns to his friend and he says to him, "Hey, like, did you see that girl? Did you see the girl back there?" And he's like, "What girl?" So they turn around to go and see. And when they turned around, the girl was on the side of the passenger. So he rolled down the window, and his friend in the driver's seat kept telling him to say something to her, to say something to her. And in the driver's seat, he couldn't really see her well. From the passenger seat, he could. And all of a sudden, he just keeps repeating, "Drive, drive, drive, drive." And they speed off. And when his friend asked him, "Why would we just abandon somebody in the rain on the side of the road?" he said that she was all cut up. She looked like she had just suffered some sort of traumatic event. But when he looked into her eyes, he had the most sinking, horrible, negative feeling. And he felt like whatever that was not human and was not kind. However, I heard another story of a man driving solo down the road when he too encounters the hitchhiker. She tells him that she needs a ride home. She gets in his back seat. She then tells him that her name is Lydia, that she's coming back from a dance. She doesn't have a ride home. He said she was super nice. When he pulled up to the house, he pulled into the driveway, he gets out, he goes to open the door, and she disappeared. And that was when he went up to her door, tried to say, "Hey, I just picked up your daughter." And she told him the classic line, "You couldn't have seen my daughter because my daughter died in a car crash." However, he said that the spirit of Lydia was nothing shy of normal and kind. So it really makes you wonder why so many people have seen this spirit, but so many people have had different reactions and different experiences. Well, you guys, what do you think of Lydia the Phantom Hitchhiker? Do you think that it actually is Lydia? What do you guys think of this? Have you heard about this before? I really want to hear what you guys think, and I'm really interested in hearing what you guys have to say because this one really fascinated me, considering that when I was younger, I heard this scary story. I thought it was nothing but a made-up story, and turns out It's actually a very real thing for people of North Carolina. If you guys enjoyed today's video but you are not yet subscribed, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. I post a ton of videos, so I really don't want you to miss when I upload. And please give this video a big thumbs up. It makes my heart super happy when you do that, so please do that. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness. And until next time, I love you!